Hey y'all, it's Frankie, your Universe United Mrs. 2025, and we're back with another episode of Behind the Crown. I'm excited to be here. Over the past few days, the weather's been kind of crazy, so we've been snowed in. But I've been able to make a lot of content, so it's been exciting. Before we get too far, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys a lot. It keep making me feel motivated to make content. So I really appreciate you guys. And I appreciate it. So I'm excited about this video because this video is actually a request. Like at the end of every episode, I do ask for requests or things you want to know about. And so I'm finally excited that I did have my first request video. So what this particular person wanted to know about is, like, can you talk about the aftermath of winning, right? Well, I'm excited to say that I did win my national pageant for 2025, and I can discuss that. Like, what is the aftermath, right? So, the first thing that happens, I kind of want to start from when you get down, because depending on how big your categories are, right? It could be a big dwindle, right? So, we had 11 contestants and we dwindle it down to like the last two, right? So, you come on stage and they call the top five. And so you're just like, I made it to top five. Well, you're not done yet. You have your on stage question, right? And you just pull the question out of a hat or a jar. You don't know what the question is going to be. But I have to tell you this. I don't want to get too much into religion, but at the end of the day, my God is an awesome God. He reigns. It's Sunday, right? Amen. The question I pulled from that bubble, from that jar, was a question I had been asked before. I knew the answer to that question. I rehearsed it. Like it was crazy how it just worked out. So I answered the question. That was that, right? So top five, they answer their on stage question. They bring us back out. They start dwindling us down. Fourth runner up. And you're like, they didn't call me. Third runner up. They didn't call me. Second runner up, they didn't call me. So now it's just you and that other person. And depending on how y'all do it, we were holding hands, but I was about to hyperventilate. So I almost scared Mrs. North Carolina. I said, it's okay, you can touch me. If you ever see my crowning moment, my crowning moment was me literally about to have a panic attack, because in my mind, I was like, I cannot be the first runner up again, because that's a plague. If anybody's been a plague with the first runner up, you know what I'm talking about. I luckily didn't have that, but it is a scary feeling to think if you get first runner up again. I was like, I can't. And so when they said, and the first runner up is, and they did not say Kansas, I was about to die. Like it was a lot. So I was so happy. The crowd was cheering. The girl that crowned me was my sister queen the year before. She beat me last year, but when she came and she hugged me, the way she ran up to me, she was so excited that I was going to be like, that she was going to be crowning me. And it meant a lot for her. And it meant a lot to me. So you get the initial shock, the shock and awe of winning. That long story is to pretty much tell you, you get the shock and awe of winning, right? Well, after that, you take all your photos and things like that. And then normally you go into contract signing. So contract signing is literally what you're doing. If you're in a non-compete clause system, you will sign a contract. If there is no clause not to complete, then you should not have to sign a contract. You get your prize winnings or whatever it is, and you go on about your merry way. If you're in a contractual agreement, you sign your contract. You have to read in thoroughly to your contract, because a lot of these contracts, there are fees and things associated with you not being able to complete your duties. So it's imperative that you read in detail the parameters of your contract, because at that time, if you don't agree with the parameters of your contract, then that will be the time where you would step aside, like, no, thank you. I appreciate the honor. Thanks for picking me, but not today. If you don't and you sign your name, then of course you are required to meet those parameters within that contract. So my contract specifically has things in there where it says I will post at least one time a week to make a minimum of 4 posts. Also, within a 30-day period, I'm required to make one appearance and do one community service of my choosing. What I really love about my system is there's not a lot of parameters on the specifics of what you have to do. There's some systems that may only want you to work with certain, agencies, or you have to get certain approvals to do certain things. This system, University United Miss, really lent to what I do because I'm able to exercise however I want, right? I'm in the health and wellness arena. So, that really lends to a lot of different a lot of different possibilities for me. So I love the fact that my system is not very selective when it comes to how I move and shake in my reign. So that's been a blessing for me. So I talked about, I have to make a minimum of 4 posts a month. I have to make one appearance, and I have to do one community service, and I'm required to be in one parade a year. And so those are like the main things. And of course, in there it talks about appearance. So when I go out, I have to ensure that I'm looking the part, right? If I'm going to put on, because I'm representing my title, that brand for that director when I go out there, right? And my goal, it's not stated, but we talked about this in another video. You're required to also be recruiting as well. And so a lot of times people are looking at you like, oh, look at her, she looks really put together. And then they will feel, like want to ask you questions or want to get into your system. So like you always looking your best is a recruiting method, is a way to entice people to want to be in your system. And so by the director putting in there about like a minimum requirement in how you look, like she doesn't allow us to be in frayed jeans, like, saying she doesn't want us to be in sweatpants, like doesn't want us to look frumpy. If we're gonna put our sash and crown on, we need to look our best. And I don't have a problem with that. If it's something that anyone was to have a problem with, it's in your contract, and you can at that point say, hey, if I don't agree with that, I don't want to do it, right? So think about that. So let's say you make it past that, right? You sign your contract, what happens next? At that point, depending on how they distribute their prize package, if it's money, if it's gifts, they might have a battle rhythm of how they distribute their money. Maybe they give you all the money up front. Maybe they give you half now and half later. Maybe they pay you at the end of your reign. So ensuring that you receive all of your prizes and that go along with your package. Understanding your contract, so that way, because the contract is for both of you guys, right? The contract is for you as the winner, and then there's also the ensuring that your director is doing what's in their contract as well, because y'all are in contractual agreement together. So ensuring everybody's staying honest and all that kind of stuff. I've had a wonderful experience. Like anything, there's always going to be things that go on, maybe a disagreement, or maybe something where something wasn't fully understood, but I can have a conversation with my director and let her know if I'm having an issue with something, and she would definitely ensure that I completely understand, or we can get past whatever, right? So that is the admin portion of it, right? Then you have to actually, the I would say the most fun is actually getting out and executing the duties within your title, right? So my system, University United Miss, is very community heavy based, right? I am always out in the community. I make numerous appearances. I'm always trying to put my best foot forward, educate people about my platform, about my system, about who I am. So that way, I can be a queen of the people, right? I have really enjoyed being your University United Mrs. 2025. When I tell you it has been the highlight of my year, it has really been the highlight of my year. I have really been able to influence things that I probably couldn't have necessarily influenced without having that segue in, right? I'm a force to be reckoned with no matter what, but people love to see the shiny crown, and they love to see the sash with all the stones and stuff on it, right? So it's a means to an end, right? It's a means for me to get into the door so I can talk about what I really want to talk about. And that is what this title has really done for me. Like I said, this system is not very restrictive on what you can and can't do, which has been a blessing, because I've been able to I've already have established community service I already have established community relations, and I already have things that I had been working on. So I was able to continue my journey, and that didn't stop just because I had my crown and sash. So like that has been a blessing in itself, to say the least. But this overall video in terms is, to give you a clear understanding of like the aftermath of winning. The biggest thing is I would tell you is read your contract, if you have one, very thoroughly, to ensure you understand the parameters and the restrictions within your contract. If you do not agree with just one thing, you bring it up, see if it can be changed. If it cannot, then do not sign that contract. Once you sign your contract, ensure that you are maintaining what you signed off that you were going to do. If you do not, depending on how your contract is written, you could be hit with warnings, fines, and even having to relinquish your title and having to repay any prize packages, i.e., like let's say you had a photo shoot and that photo shoot was valued at $2,000, you could be found to have to pay that back. So that's why it's very important for you to understand your contract. And then once you get past that and you're out here, when in charge, be in charge. When you're the queen, be the queen. So ensure that you are representing that brand to the highest extent. As we say in the military, leave it better than you found it, right? So I don't care if the last queen only, posted one time and almost lost her crown. That don't have nothing to do with you. So ensure that you are doing all your requirements, that you are really stepping up to the challenge and excelling. Because once you do that, you will get praise from your director. You will get praise from your sister queens. Ensuring that you have a great relationship with your sister queens. That's another great one as well. Y'all are a team for this year. So come together. I talk to my sister queens all the time. We're always talking and having a good old time about something. We live close together, so we help each other out with different things. We've driven together to different places for our trips and things like that. And we've been having a really good time. So I definitely can tell you that the aftermath of winning has just been a blessing in itself. And I've really enjoyed everything with my title. And I'm excited, not excited to crown today, but I know at some point this journey will come to an end, and I plan on making it the best year. So that's what I do every day when I wake up. So anyway, but I've gone off. I try to keep these under 10 minutes, and we're at 12:38. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off. But I had a great time talking to you guys. All right, bye.